This is the Facebook secret sauce. The Facebook secret sauce is not the ad network. It's the hiring process. Here's where we indoctrinate you into Facebook and show you how software is actually supposed to be written. And that's how you find a good team. It's the Harry Potter sorting hat. It is the sorting.
It's the onboarding process.
There's onboarding in every company.
Yeah.
No other company has a sorting hat.
No, only Harry Potter. Hey everyone, welcome to Dev Interrupted. I'm your host, Dan Lyons, and today I'm joined by the founder of Software Daily and author of the new book, Move Fast, How Facebook Builds Software, Jeff Meyerson. Jeff, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So before we dive into your new book, you got an awesome new book, super excited to talk about it. I love the premise, but I want to give our audience a chance to get to know you a little bit better, talk about Software Daily a bit. You've been everything from a poker coach to a longtime software engineer. You're a founder, a few companies here, and you're also an author. Can you tell us a bit about your career journey?
Yeah, so it really starts with playing collectible card games when I was 11 or 12. I started playing Magic professionally when I was 15. I played poker professionally from the age of about 16 to 19. And then I got very heavily into software engineering for about 4 or 5 years. And then probably around age 23, I started to focus more on entrepreneurship and started to study entrepreneurship, really exploring what makes the intersection of creativity and technology useful and cutting edge at any given time, and how can we potentially profit from that intersection. Really, my career progression has been about exploring the intersection of creativity and technology in finance.
That's awesome. I'm not a poker player myself, but I would think there's a lot of math involved in that. Did anything in your poker career journey help you with software engineering?
Yeah, and I actually wrote a pod blog about this. You can find it. I think it's called Poker and Software Engineering. You can listen to the interviews I did with Hasib Qureshi, who is a good friend of mine. I've done probably 5 or 6 interviews with him on the show. So poker teaches you effectively modal logic applied to aggression. If you think about like the A and B statements, like the binary logic that starts if you're taking a computer science curriculum, you take this modal logic stuff, and then the modal logic advances into applied modal logic, which is the EE courses. So the electrical engineering stuff like Carnot maps. And as you're designing these abstract like gates and Carnot map things, you're defining modal logic applied creatively. But if you look at poker is, first of all, how do you apply modal logic to financial situations in a very simple economy, I would say. Poker is an economy that is so simple, yet the simplicity shows that a simple economy is really all you need to have NP-complete problem space exploration. In poker, you're exploring this NP-complete problem space and you're trying to exploit your opponent. That's really all you're doing there. And really, the expansiveness of that problem space is what makes poker eternally interesting to me. We're seeing just how much unexplored problem space there is in the work of Noam Brown, who's doing the most cutting-edge poker artificial intelligence research that I'm aware of, unless there's something going on at AlphaGo or DeepMind. But yeah, there's a whole lot there at the intersection of poker and software.
Yeah, that's awesome. I always like these stories, and you got a bunch of data stuff probably going on with poker, and it translates really well to engineers and people that are interested in software engineering. On top of all of this, you started Software Daily in 2015. Today, it's one of the best podcasts, email lists, tech media sources out there for software engineering, engineering leaders, technical leaders. Can you share the founding story of Software Daily? How did that even come about for you?
Sure. I started podcasting with Software Engineering Radio when I was in college. That was probably in 2013. They taught me to software podcast. The whole reason I started to volunteer for them was because I listened to the show and I found that I was learning more during the show than I was in my academic computer science curriculum. And then when I graduated and I was doing volunteer work for Software Engineering Radio, it continued to be the most reliably interesting and skill-intensive work that I was good at. I was doing Software Engineering Radio when I was working at Peak 6 Investments, and I was struggling there. I left Peak 6. I worked at this ad tech company. I was struggling there. I worked at Amazon. I was struggling there. But throughout all of this, I continued to thrive in Software Engineering Radio, and I started my other podcast called the QuoraCast, which was an exploration of the Quora ecosystem via podcast. And I found that I could podcast reasonably well. And I figured that this was probably something I could do professionally and at least break even. So I just decided to go all in on the podcast that I thought was the most viable business opportunity. And that was Software Daily.
I love founders. You're obviously a founder a few times now. Do you have any advice for our listeners of what's a first step, to start a company, or with Software Daily in particular? Is there just like one thing that made it happen for you? Like, how do you think about taking a first step?
The first step is you must decide to win. You must decide that you're going to win a market. And it's not like I'm going to try to win. It's like you decide to win. So if you decide to win, then you can't lose. It's not like you're necessarily going to be able to win at the first thing that you decide you're going to win. But if you decide you're going to give up on that particular thing, it better be because you found a different place where you want to win. So at all times, you must be trying to win some product category.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's like a mindset there. Hey, I'm going to decide that I'm going to win this category. Did you have a kind of like a success tipping point for Software Daily, or is there anything that happened where you're like, oh, okay, now I'm doing this thing and it's successful for me?
No, we're still so immature relative to what we're going to do. It's not even close. So we're still very nascent.
You know, I'm curious. I'm someone about less than a year into my podcasting journey. What are some of the biggest takeaways from interviewing so many leaders in the technology space for you?
It's that these are all humans, and ultimately they have their own foibles, they have their own brilliances, they have their own things that they're good at and things that they're bad at. And really, the commonality that binds all of the best podcasts is that they're ultimately serving the same purpose that NPR has served for years, which is to showcase good human interest stories. So behind every technical detail that is on Software Daily is a human interest story.
Yep. Telling stories is always a winner, I think. You mentioned Software Daily maybe is maturing, maybe in its infancy, going somewhere. Where is it going next? Where are you going to take it?
One way to think of Software Daily is that we are your index into the world of software. So if you think about the index into the world of software, what does that mean? If Software Daily is a key point or a key tool along every journey that you take as a person who uses software, there's a lot of different domains that we can provide tools and services to our customers relating to that. So for example, a very simple monetary opportunities, how do you make buying decisions in software? I'm a consumer. I buy TikTok, right? Let's be honest. If I'm using TikTok, I'm buying it. I am selling my attention to your advertising platform. Why should TikTok be my choice of usage instead of Instagram, right? Like, where's the guiding light around should you use TikTok or Instagram? Like, ultimately, it's a matter of taste. That's what separates us from a company like G2. Like, G2 is a little bit more definitive. They're a little bit more of a highly structured reviews platform.
Yep.
We're more of, here's your magazine. Like, you're just like flipping through a magazine, like looking at stuff. That's what Software Daily is today.
Okay, awesome. Now, on top of Software Daily, you've also come out with a new book, Move Fast, How Facebook Builds Software. Let's dig into the book here. So how did this book even come to be?
Nick and Pete of Facebook fame talked me into doing a series of interviews about Facebook engineers. After doing 5 of those interviews, I realized that there was much more to this. I agreed with Pete that we needed to turn it into a book, and to extend the story, we did 20 interviews. So we did a total of about 25 to 30 interviews with various Facebook people. And out of that came a series of transcripts. The transcripts were boiled down into the book that you can read. And it's a story of how Facebook builds software. It's a strategic manual that tells you how to build software and how to build creative projects in a means that replicates the creative energy of Facebook.
Now, you didn't work at Facebook yourself, correct?
That's right.
So everyone that you're interviewing, are these early employees? Are they all different title levels? Is it just people that you are friends with? How would you describe that interview base?
It's mostly engineers, some executives.
Great. Now, Your book works through three key areas: product, culture, and engineering. Can you share how these function together?
Definitely. So top down, you have product is everything. If you don't have a good product, nobody cares about your culture. Nobody cares about your engineering. You must have something that you're selling. So product is the top of the top down. After product, you've got culture, because ultimately software is built by people. All products are built by people. And the way that people relate to each other is your culture. Okay, so we've got product and culture. That is powered by engineering. Engineering is the implementation behind the product direction and the company culture. With a good engineering workforce, you can enable the culture, you can enable the product development systems, and you can glue everything together. It's really like a book about those three things, how they relate to each other, and then there's a nice little introduction and conclusion to frame that meaty center.
Now, the concept of move fast and break things, that's a quote from Zuckerberg, right?
Yeah, he had move fast and break things, and they had move fast with stable infrastructure.
Yep. And some of that's been ridiculed maybe a little bit by the media. It's crucial to Facebook's success. How do you think about that philosophy in making Facebook successful?
The title of the book is meant to poke fun at the fact that Facebook is just like totally underestimated, and like all the people that are supposed to be like, I don't know, watchdogs over the company or informed critics of the company don't really know how to actually look at it with a critical eye, because there's plenty of criticism to levy against the company, and I could definitely do that. But like instead, it's just the tackiest, most obviously wrong criticisms are levied against the company. Like, how dare you move fast and break things? Come on, it's a photo sharing company. It was moving fast and breaking things when it was a photo sharing company or a post-event celebration company. That's literally after you get drunk, you go home and log on to Facebook. The thing is, Facebook evolved organically from a photo sharing app to core communications infrastructure. While that was happening, the company was undergoing tremendous change from all angles. As a simple example, the company's entire existence was threatened by the growth of mobile. And if it had not moved fast, it would be Yahoo. Like, no offense to Yahoo, but Yahoo's not really relevant in the way that Facebook is. The critique is just insane. And honestly, like, we should have more organizations moving faster and breaking more things. I want the IRS to move faster and break a few more things. Not that and that wouldn't be, oh, how dare you say the IRS should move faster and break things. I'm not saying I don't want my taxes to be paid and I don't want them to like audit people. Like, I want that to happen, but I also want some innovation in my tax code. Like, the tax code's horrible. I know, because I work with it at all points in the year. If you are a business owner, it's no longer a yearly tax season. It's every minute is tax season. Taxes play into everything that you do. It's not just like a tax on your money, it's a tax on your attention. The point of the book is everybody should be moving faster. Whether you're the IRS or whether you're dead mouse, everybody should be moving faster.
Yeah, I totally agree. So at LinearB, right, we're helping engineering teams become more productive. One of the key indicators of an innovative, productive team is the ability to move fast. We call it.
Wait, are you guys you guys are the Linear that was like funded by Sequoia, right?
No, different. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I feel like
Yeah.
such a jerk. I have such respect for the field of podcasting. Like, the whole way that I built my podcast was I prepared a bunch. But I'm stretched so thin right now that I literally can't even look up your domain before I sit down to a podcast with you. And I just want to apologize for that.
No problem. LinearB.
I'm really sorry, man. Like,
Yeah.
I'm really.
We're funded by Battery.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
Janelle's like a really good friend of mine.
Okay, cool. Awesome.
What do you guys do?
Yeah, we're doing productivity engineering for software teams.
I don't think I know about this product category. It looks great. This is like what Tomas Barreto is doing, right? With, God, what is this company called? OKHQ. OKHQ. Same category?
Yeah, let me see. OKHQ. I haven't seen that come up, like not as a competitor, but it's basically how fast can you move with stability? That's what we do. We help teams do that in an automated way with metrics.
Yeah. This is OKHQ. This is like WayDev, right?
WayDev's a competitor.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is a cool category. This is like a really deep category.
It's getting like a ton of interest. There's a lot of people that write about it. And yeah, what I was going to say is moving fast. Now it's basically proven that you can move fast. You might break a few things, but you actually don't have to break a ton of things. You can move fast and be highly stable. So I know that came up when you were researching it.
That's like the whole move fast with stable infrastructure thing. It's not a joke. Like, they move fast with stable infrastructure. When was the last time a Messenger message didn't make it through? I've never had a failure with Messenger, maybe in the last 5 years or 4 years or something. Like, come on.
Yeah, it's actually a really visionary statement, because I think you said it a while ago. But what everyone's preaching now is when you produce a piece of code, it's ready to go live, you should get feedback on that code within 15 minutes, something like that.
Is there any way that Facebook can ever salvage its reputation, or is it forever going to be like the Goldman Sachs of software? Is it literally like how people see Goldman Sachs is how people see Facebook? It's this company that provides immense value to the world, and yet we've decided as a culture that this is an evil company.
I think it might just be the speed that it gained popularity. I think that has something to do.
No, I know there's all kinds of reasons why people hate Facebook. I totally understand that. But like, how does it ever recover its reputation, or is it just like the weird kid on the block?
I think it depends who you ask. I don't look at it that way. I don't look at it.
I don't either. I don't either. But you agree with me that a lot of people do, right?
I think a lot of outside people do. But if you look, because I'm studying this industry, if you look at what Zuckerberg said, that's the most visionary statement, I think, maybe 10 years before everyone's saying it now. Like, basically, we're in a situation, hey, if you're not moving fast and breaking things, you're behind. And also, if you're not moving fast with stability, you're also behind. As an engineering organization.
Correct.
That's what every team
in fact,
is should be striving for today. So I think it depends who you ask.
You're completely correct. And I'm really glad that somebody who is building you're trying to build a core productivity tool, and you're still saying you need to move fast and break things. Basically, like, the competitive dynamics of the software industry are so fierce that you must move fast and break things until you have a cash cow the size of Facebook. Like, the only reason Facebook could say, let's move fast with stable infrastructure, is because they have a cash cow that generates like billions of dollars a year in free cash flow. Yeah, if you're generating billions of dollars a year in free cash flow, let's get some stable infrastructure around that. I mean, otherwise, keep breaking shit.
It's a little bit counterintuitive. When you start moving fast, let's say that you haven't done it before, and you're saying, okay, I'm going to start moving faster now. You might break stuff in the beginning, and you probably will. But what data shows is, as you start moving faster, this is the counterintuitive part, you will actually become more and more stable. If you can get code out into production, and you can get feedback back to your developers about, is the code doing well? Is it stable? Is it causing problems? The faster that you can, or like the shortened kind of micro feedback loop, the better, because then you can fix it really fast. All the practices that you have in place, the testing, the CI/CD to move fast, will make you more stable. Counterintuitive, but that's what happens. So that's the interesting part to me, and why him saying that a long time ago is like a really innovative thing to say. Before, a lot of software teams might say, you know what, to get more stable, let's slow down. No, that's actually the exact wrong thing to do. Yeah, because if I wrote code a year ago and it's coming out now, I have no idea what that was.
So thank you for appreciating that. I really appreciate that.
The next thing that I really want to ask you is, so you did the book. What does the engineering ecosystem take away from your book? What are the outcomes of what did you learn?
There's so much. So I don't mean to toot my own horn here or something, but I basically broke my brain writing this book. Like, literally it took me 2.5 years to write it. And literally I was going insane by the end of it. I was doing a daily software podcast, running some failing companies, writing a musical album, and publishing this book, and I broke my brain doing it. Like, I don't want to tell you more about it. We can sit down over a drink sometime.
Yeah, I want to know more about it, because a lot of entrepreneurs go through this. Isn't like it's hard to talk about, but it's not like a new.
I'm not sure a lot of entrepreneurs went through what I went through.
Okay,
but I understand what you're saying.
Okay. We need a drink.
But yeah, so what can you take away from it? Software companies are run horribly. Like, I saw what Facebook was doing. I was like, oh, Facebook just does things way better than anybody else. I worked at Amazon. Trust me. Like, Facebook is run better than Amazon. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to say it. It's just, Why? Because
Yeah.
you don't want to work for a taskmaster, right? Like you don't want to work for a guy who's just like cracking the whip and telling you to follow the leadership principles. You want to work for a guy who respects you as a human and operates a flat org structure where bottoms up innovation can happen without going through a 6-page review process. Amazon is a totally different animal. We can't really draw like a we can do a side-by-side comparison because that's where we want the show to go, but it'll take up the entire show. The companies are very different. They have different strengths and weaknesses, right? Could Facebook build a global fulfillment system? Probably not. Maybe it can. Maybe Marketplace can do that, but probably not. Probably you need a taskmaster to build that. You need to literally get a taskmaster who can say, I'm going to make a taskmaster system that people actually are willing to follow, which is what Amazon is.
Yeah, it fits what they're doing better, maybe, but not for Facebook. You're saying
Facebook is like we're a bunch of artists like tinkering on shit, and occasionally we get a gigantic cash cow, and then we have a really good M&A strategy where we just place gigantic bets that let us expand our high margin opportunities. It's just like a very different strategy than Amazon.
To me, I'm hearing a lot of culture from you. Hey, maybe there's a culture of ownership, empowerment, or okay, everything that you said about Facebook, how does it then translate to the engineering team, how it operates, that type of thing?
The culture is definitely important here, but like really what I'm talking about is what's the imperial strategy. The Facebook imperial strategy is leads to a little bit more of the kind of company that I would want to run, the kind of company that I would want to be a part of, where Facebook basically says, look, we're only going after high margin business lines. And we're just going to attack high margin business lines with the best product strategy that we can muster. And Amazon is, we're going after every product line. It's cool. Yeah. All right. I love Amazon Essentials. I love Amazon Basics. And the Amazon ad network is going to be great. But is Amazon ever going to own a property like Instagram? Maybe, we'll see. But look at what happened to Goodreads. If Facebook would have acquired Goodreads, what would have happened? Like it would be this super good, fully integrated book experience. Instead, we basically have no good book social network anymore.
One of the things that I think you did highlight is the engagement and the ownership for the people that are working at Facebook. You said that you interviewed mostly engineers. Is that something you found? And what do you think is the output of that engagement and ownership?
So this is where we can talk about an actual strategic implementation detail applied to culture.
Yeah.
Did you ever hear about the bootcamp headcount thing? Bootcamp plus headcount. Okay, so like when you get recruited to Facebook, so first you do the stupid interview loop with the stupid interview questions. Can you print out a buffer or something? Like, can you like tree or whatever? These like stupid antiquated questions that Facebook should do away with, but they still maintain them. Anyway, like that's critique number one of this podcast. Critique number one of Facebook for this podcast, in case people think I'm a Facebook puff piece writer. I can give you more. But so they do the stupid hiring process, but then things get smarter. So they have this thing, Facebook Bootcamp, which is like, engineers go into Facebook Bootcamp and you learn the general rules for how to be an engineer at Facebook. And everybody has to go through Facebook Bootcamp, so it's a great leveling structure. But it's not like so harsh that you're going to suffer so much in bootcamp that you're going to quit. It's not like the Navy SEAL bootcamp where you have to go and like ring the bell when you quit and everybody gets to see you fall. That's not what's happening here. It's like a very supportive environment, but it's like a little bit grindy. It's like, here's a little bit of a sample of a taste of what it's like to work at Facebook. It's hard. It's like hard technical problems, but you're surrounded by people the whole time. And you can always go over and ask somebody, hey, man, can you help me solve this? I'm somebody that I could not code any of my own work in college. I'm one of those people that literally was like always the number 2 programmer on a pair programming team. Yeah. Like literally I'm doing my distribution. I'm not even that guy. I'm like the waitress. Like I'm bringing you coffee. That's all I can do. I'll bring you coffee.
I'll do anything to make us successful, but I'm not going to be the number one.
So I'm trying to hire a friend for my new company, Supercompute. And I was trying to tell him, I'm trying to hire him because like I programmed with him in college. And I was like, dude, come on, let's bring the band back together. I can't do anything. I can't write a code for shit, man. Can you just let me bring you coffee and can you just build my company for me? And he's like a little bit self-conscious, he's a little bit nervous about it. I'm really hoping he's going to join. So I hope he hears this. But like, so where I was going with that is there's a lot of people like me, right? I can't write code. I'm not good at it. I need people around me to help me do that because it's too hard for me. I even need somebody to tell me what should you type into Google to find the right Stack Overflow answer. I'm that stupid. Software is a team sport. Like, why are we sitting in cubicles? It doesn't make any sense. So bootcamp is, here's where we indoctrinate you into Facebook and show you how software is actually supposed to be written. And so you just sit in these groups and you learn how to code the Facebook way. You learn the Facebook tools. And then you have these like little like missions to work with other teams and you sample other teams this is the Facebook secret sauce. The Facebook secret sauce is not the ad network. It's the hiring process. So you're hired and you do boot camp and you get to test yourself with different teams. And that's how you find a good team. It's the Harry Potter sorting hat. It is the sorting.
It's the onboarding process.
There's onboarding in every company.
Yeah.
No other company has a sorting hat.
No, only Harry Potter. Okay, I'm being recruited. I answer the questions. I come on to the boot camp. And you're saying one of the purposes of the boot camp is to sort me into my area that I would be most successful, or how would you describe it?
Correct. And the supply side of that marketplace is headcount. Headcount is how many people any given team can hire at any given point. So there's like an annual budgeting process or a quarterly budgeting process where they say, all right, look, the React VR team, right? Like we got the React VR team. It's like a 5-person team working on React technologies for VR headset. That's a very specific team. It's like probably a 2 pizza sized team ultimately, but it's got 5 people on it right now. So I'm the React VR team, or I'm Mark Zuckerberg, or let's say I'm like some VP level person at Facebook, and I get to say, okay, like how many people can the React VR team hire this quarter? What headcount? So this is so cool because you're basically like allocating headcount at a VP level. And then you're saying, okay, go with your headcount. Think about your headcount. At any given time, you can look into this pool of people that is in boot camp or has been in boot camp and basically like draft like the best person.
Yeah, it's like a farm system
in
baseball.
Farm.
It's here's all the up and coming prospects.
Exactly.
You can reach into this prospect pool and bring them up to your team when you feel fit to do.
And also we're going to facilitate them coming over and like doing a quick experiment with the team.
Awesome stuff.
By the way, now that I've looked at your product a little bit, your product is exactly the kind of thing that the PostMoveFast company wants.
Exactly.
Why is that? Because moving fast is about eliminating communications overhead. And the only way to eliminate communications overhead is to have more people acting autonomously. If more people are acting autonomously, you need ways of synchronizing them. If you're trying to synchronize people while letting them act autonomously, you have to give them metrics. They have to be able to look at metrics and understand the health of the company at any given time. One of the best ways to understand the health of a company is to look at developer metrics. That's what you do. So you're the perfect example of a post-move-fast company. Everybody who's listening to this who wants to move fast like Facebook should be looking at this product category, whether they look at LinearB or they look at whatever.
You're saying the right things. You have to have a few things: data, transparency, and automation. And those are the things. You combine them, you can move faster.
So the automation, that's the product depth, right? That's like where you become like a really big company.
You're saying for us, for LinearB?
For you, for you. Because like you can metrics
for us,
is cool. Metrics is cool, but like kicking off software jobs in response to metrics is much cooler.
Yeah, you're nailing it. It's kind of like the basics to just get a foundation. You have to know metrics. That's honestly the basics. If you don't know your metrics, okay, go out there and get a tool to get your metrics. LinearB is one of them. But the thing that's a separator is, what are you going to do to enable your people to make those metrics better? And a lot of them don't even honestly care necessarily about those top line metrics like a cycle time. But for example, they do care about how quickly can I move my coding work out into production in a highly automated way. We call it orchestration. That kind of orchestration piece of keeping all engineers in sync, making sure they know where their code is in the software delivery process, making sure that there's no idle time, no one's waiting for anyone else, happening all in an automated way. That's where you get a lot of gains, and you actually don't even have to do anything to make the metrics better. They actually will just become better if you roll out this automation to all of your developers. And that's moving fast.
It's a great category, man. That's a great space to be playing in. How many employees you guys got at this point?
30, 35.
30? You guys did the A with battery? Is that where you're at?
Yeah.
How many months ago was that?
Beginning of the year, January.
Okay. How many months you think you got before you got a raise again?
We got a healthy runway, I would say.
So let me ask you a question. What I'm seeing in the market, companies are moving faster than ever before. Capital's flowing even faster than it was during the pandemic. And literally all the VCs I know are just like, it's they're going through like a traumatic experience because there's just so much deal flow.
Yeah, it almost feel like there was like a pressure that built up basically
Do you
during
feel
the
that? Do you see,
pandemic.
what I'm asking
Okay.
is like on an opportunity level. Do you feel that way too? I bet you have so much opportunity in front of you. It's just like amazing right now. It's like very hard to even grapple with it.
Opportunity is incredible right now. And to be super frank and honest with you, remote work. So if
Oh
you
my
want to
God.
have a
Oh,
remote engineering team, transparency, visibility, and automation go hand in hand with effective remote engineering teams. So you're bringing in a tool like LinearB that's going to help enable you to have successful remote work teams. So that kind of stuff is only helped.
how fake is this argument that we're going to go back to offices? Like it's the most fake it's the most fake thing in the world.
I mean, in engineering culture, we're not going to go back.
No, we're
But
not.
I've actually seen, because I'm like interviewing a good amount of people, even if the company is saying, hey, we're going back to the office, I've seen also the engineering organization saying, except for us, we're not going back.
Hey,
So if other departments go, engineering's staying remote.
I'm enjoying talking to you, and it's making me think.
Thanks. What is a takeaway from your time interviewing people at Facebook that every engineering leader should know?
So Tom Okino may be the best manager I've ever met. Like person with literally like the qualification of manager. Not talking about like the best CTO ever or the best like VP ever or whatever. Of the qualification for somebody who is literally like manager of engineers. So Tom Okino is like the manager of the React team, like the guys who make React.
Yep.
React, I assume. So React is like maybe the most important open source project right now. Kubernetes is really cool, but like when we're talking about like moving technology forward in a seriously differentiated way, like React basically says like we're unifying interfaces. We're making the Linux of interfaces. Like working on the React team is like being part of a special operations group who's trying to save the world. It's like literally like the effing biggest thing that had to happen to software engineering in a while. It may be bigger than crypto. Like being honest, like I love crypto, but like crypto is like still immature. But if you're like thinking about, wow, we built a universal interface platform, that's actually like a superset of operating systems, which is effing crazy.
It's awesome.
It's Linux. The next Linux is what React is. And Tom Okino is the manager of it. So Tom Okino is like epic level superstar James Bond of software engineering management. And really what he's good at, what I learned the most from Tom Okino is his team really likes working together. And they really like hanging out and just like having lunch together and giving high fives to each other. And they're super open-minded. They will do anything to avoid conflict, which is really good. Not in the sense that let's suppress conflict, but like, let's operate in a way where conflict is avoided or effectively managed. Dan Abramov is a member of this team. Dan Abramov is like bigger than any startup founder in the world. He's the guy who's defining the future of the interface. He's the Steve Wozniak or something of interfaces. So yeah, I mean, what do you want to know about software engineering management? If there's anything you want to know, just go listen to my interviews with Tom Okino.
Hell yeah. Awesome. Having that close-knit team, probably super innovative. Yeah, there probably is some conflict, but maybe it's just resolved super quick or in a positive way. It just seems like the way that you describe it, a true team gelling together to do something incredible. Let's move on to our final topic. So in addition to everything that you've done with your book and Software Daily, you have a new company, Supercompute. What is Supercompute?
Supercompute is redefining the future of computing. So what does that mean? Supercompute is the acknowledgement of what I said earlier about what the VCs are undergoing. Like literally the VCs are like the scene in Clockwork Orange where the guy has his eyes peeled back and there's like information just being uncontrollably blasted at his brain. That's what's going on in software right now. There's too much. Literally, there's too much. It's all you can eat. It's insanity. And I know this because my show is like a barometer on the pace of software. And we can't really trust the barometer anymore. It's like at the point where it's just like shooting, like it's like a measurement system that's just like shooting out. It's like you can't quantify the pace anymore. Maybe it's the singularity. Maybe that's what's going on. So really, like Supercompute is the acknowledgement that we're at such a singularity that literally our goal is just to try to redefine computing. And it's not like we're trying to redefine all of computing. There's just so much stuff going on that we're just like trying to capture a meaningful slice of that. And we want that slice to continually grow over time. So where are we starting with that thesis? The place that we're starting is with a digital collectible card game. We're building the best digital collectible card game. Why are we capable of doing that? Basically because I'm not capable of doing anything else. And the reason I know that is because I've built 5 or 6 companies that have failed. I've built one company that's moderately successful. It's a highly technical software engineering podcast. That's my success product.
It's awesome.
I failed at all the other ones. I failed at all the other ones because I'm not good at making them. The one thing that I've made that's pretty good is a game. It's called Moonstocks. It's on Android. It's really dumb and weird. If you like dumb and weird things and you have an Android phone, download Moonstocks. But my experience building that was so enjoyable, and I think about it all the time. So basically, I was just like, I just need to make a company that was like making this product, which is just, it's gonna be a stupid game. It's just gonna be a stupid, fun game that's educational and fun to play with your friends, and it's gonna be the best game on the internet. That's what we're making. And if you build the best game on the internet, everybody wants to come work with you. So we're just going to do that, and then we're going to take over every single sector that we can.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that you're upfront about the failures. Great. Sounds like at Supercompute, this is something we are very passionate about. From the failures that you had, what is the lesson that you put in for Supercompute?
The reason that you want to raise venture capital is because you're insane and you're terrible at what you do. And you need somebody to actually tell you if you're doing a good job. And the only way to do that is to find somebody who will give you money. So that's why YC is great, look, we're the first check-in. We're just like, we're going to tell you, we don't even know if you're doing the right thing, but you're at least on the right track. Here's a little bit of money. You just got to make something that you can validate against other people. So all my previous companies, I would pitch them and I know so many venture capitalists, and I just basically gave up. And each of those products, I was like, this is not good enough to pitch. Like, it's fucking awful. Like, it's a terrible product. I can't raise money for this and maintain my dignity. Like, literally, I went broke with my first software company, Adverprise. I just spent all my money from Software Engineering Daily because I was too ashamed to take investor money because I knew it wasn't good. I knew it wasn't there yet. We didn't have the marketplace dynamics figured out yet. So in poker, I was a professional poker player. I learned that you cannot give up your reputation. No matter what you do, you cannot give up your reputation. You can make every mistake in the world, but you can't make the mistake of losing your reputation. I want to be somebody that never misses. I want to be able to go out to the capital markets and have the complete faith and trust of any investor that I walk into the door with and just say, look, I'm not going to lose you money. I'm going to grow your money so you can safely invest in me. Supercompute is the first product that I am completely sure will return its investment capital. So I can go out to venture capitalists and honestly say that to them. I don't even have to bullshit.
Yeah, it comes from your heart. Here's what I know.
I'm just like, look, if you don't see it, I don't care because I'm going to go raise money from the next guy. It doesn't matter to me.
I can relate to that. Yeah,
you're there with LinearB.
Honestly, it sounds lame. You can feel it in your heart when you do the pitch. You can say in your head, "Do I really believe this, or do I not?"
Yeah,
and I think it also comes through because when you're pitching to an investor, they're thinking the same thing. Should I give up all this money? Do I believe in this idea?
Have you had a bunch of bad products before this?
I had a different type of success before I founded LinearB. I was the second employee software engineer hired at a company called CloudLock. I grew over like a 7-year period to be the VP of engineering. We were acquired by Cisco Systems. I was like early on as like a 22-year-old growing a career in a successful startup.
Wow, that's a great.
Then we sold like $300 million around that. And then after that, I was like, I'm going to go do my own thing.
Got it. So how old were you? How old were you then?
When we sold, I joined when I was 23, and I think we sold when I was 31, something like that.
Okay, yeah. Awesome. So you're minted at 31, and then you start thinking about ideas for what to do next.
Yeah, I stayed at Cisco for a year post-acquisition, made sure all my people were, settled in, they had their career paths, and then I resigned.
Did you have a product when you left though?
Not exactly, but everything that we're doing at LinearB came from,
I'm sure,
what I learned in the growing up.
Cisco's interesting because it's like an example of an older company that could really benefit from using LinearB, right? Because if you're Cisco, you need to move a lot faster. No offense to Cisco, but you need to move a lot faster.
You do, but you also have to have someone like what we're seeing at LinearB. You do have to have someone that acknowledges it. So usually the companies that we're getting in, there's someone there that's saying, I want to move faster, or I understand, okay, this is what's happening in the industry. This is how great engineering teams operate. I have a will to do this. Who's out there going to help me make this happen? LinearB is going to help you make it happen. All right. Last question. If listeners want to learn more about your book, Supercompute, or Software Daily, where should they go?
Go to my Spotify, actually, and listen to my music, because that's how you'll learn about who I really am. So Spotify, the Prion, the THE space PRION. That's really the place to learn about me.
Jeff, thank you so much for coming on DI today. Probably one of my favorite podcasts. I had a great time with you. It was awesome.